Hello everyone, welcome to TCG Talk, and today I'm going to have another video with a Lexi deck tech video, specifically Ice Lexi. I've been playing this deck for about a week now in constructed format, and I'm really liking the deck so far. I love Lexi as a hero in the new Tales of Aria set because there's so many different ways you can take her, both with ice and lightning, and even within those own elements, there's different ways that you can play that element, right? You can play more controlling, more aggro in both. Lightning Lexi is more of a go wide deck, whereas Ice Lexi is more of a go tall deck or maybe a control deck where you're trying to get those Frostbite tokens. So we're going to get right into it. When it comes to equipment, I try to give low budget options and higher budget options because not everybody has the money to shell out for these insanely expensive equipment pieces, especially the legendary ones, or B, they just didn't get luck of the draw in their boxes and they don't quite have that yet. So I'm going to try to give you a little bit of everything from low budget players playing at your local to higher budget players who maybe are trying to go to an event. So without further ado, for the chess piece, Heart of Ice is really good. Cards and activated abilities cost opposing heroes an additional 1 mana this turn, and you can activate that once per action. So if you're trying to maybe you're playing someone with a lot of defense reactions, trying to stop you, even if you're doing high dominated turns, this is good to kind of make them have to pay a little bit for that. At least get some cards out of their hand. So that's a really good high level piece that you can get. It's legendary. The other high level, kind of mid to high level piece is Findle Spring Tunic. That's a pretty common card. It's been in the game for a while, but not everybody has it, and it's a little bit expensive if you don't have it. And you don't want to shell out the $100 for it, or around where it is on TCG Play right now. But Findle Spring Tunic, basically the one counter you get per turn, and every 3 turns you're going to get 1 extra resource. Really useful for games that go a long ways. It also has Blade Break, so the first time you defend with it, it's going to destroy it. And then the final chess piece is kind of the more common chess piece that you can use that everybody's going to have is Heart and Cross Strap, which basically destroy it and you get 2 resources. That's the one that probably everyone's going to start with if you don't have the first 2. For your hood, the base level hood is Honing Hood. It's really good, so it returns all cards to your arsenal to your hand, and then put a card from your hand face down into your arsenal. So this is really good if you flip the card, activate Lexi's ability, get a Frostbite token, and then maybe you want to put another card down in there. Maybe it's a bow, maybe it's another different card that you're going to use later in the turn. It's just really good to get the card back up into your hand if you need it for a certain reason. Maybe you're about to play 3 of a kind, and the card down in your arsenal maybe costs 1 or 2, and you don't want to have to play that card first because it doesn't have go again. You can use this to bring that card back up to your hand. Maybe it's an ice card after you flipped it. And then put a bow down in there because you're only going to be playing from Arsenal that turn because of 3 of a kind. So it's really useful for that. The high budget option, one of the best cards in the set right now, is New Horizon. New Horizon is while you have card face up in your arsenal, you have an additional arsenal zone. So basically you have 2 arsenal slots. When New Horizon is destroyed, destroy all cards in your arsenal. So basically that means that if you can keep getting multiple attacks. This isn't as crazy good in Ice Lexi as it is in Lightning Lexi, although it still is very useful in Ice Lexi, and it's something you definitely want if you have it. For your legs, Perch Grapplers is the pretty common one. It's a ranger equipment, and it's a mythic magic player. Is you use 2 resources action, destroy Perch Grapplers, and until the end of turn, face up arrow cards played from your arsenal gain go again. So if you can keep getting that reload mechanic that some of these cards give, you'll keep getting that go again and going down in there because you can only activate Shiver once per turn, which is your bow. But you get go again if you can continuously get that reload mechanic and get more bows into your arsenal. It's also great if you have 2 arsenal slots and you can do it that way. The other foot piece that you can use is Snapdragon Scalers, which is just automatic go again. 1 turn, 1 cost or less gets go again, and everything in this deck is 1 cost or less, so that's very useful as well. And then finally, I have Arcanite Skullcap as another hood you could use, another headpiece. It just gives you a little bit more block if you need that. Maybe you're playing against a hero where you're going to need that extra, break point. It also has Arcane Barrier 3, which is really useful against a Briar. Just something you can use from that aspect. And then finally, for another arm piece, I have Bullseye Bracers. This allows you to put something straight down your arsenal and give it +1. It also has Arcane Barrier 1. I would say for the low budget players or your local game store players, you're probably going to be playing Heart and Cross Strap or Findle Spring Tunic, one or the other. Not everybody's going to have New Horizon as a headpiece, but for chest, you're going to Heart and Cross Strap or Findle Spring Tunic probably. For your hood, unless you have New Horizon, you're probably going to be using Honing Hood. Perch Glappers, Snapdragon Scalers are kind of both, they're both good. I would use Perch Glappers first, but you might be using Snapdragon Scalers. And then most arm pieces, if you've bought a box in this set, or if you played Ranger at all in the past, you're probably going to get Bullseye Bracers, which is really useful. So now we're going to get into the deck. The basis of the deck is twofold. On offense, you're trying to do high, tall attacks with Dominate because you're always going to use Shiver's ability for Dominate. So her bow, which isn't in here, that's my fault. Once per turn, you can place a arrow down into your arsenal face up, and it will you can either give it +1 or Dominate. In this deck, you're almost always going to give it Dominate, and you'll see why, because all these cards are pump spells for the most part, and you're already creating that Frostbite token, so you want one large attack that's hard for them to defend with, and then also you're doing Dominate for high-level attacks to kind of take down their life total. So we have, I believe, 21 arrows in here. We have Blizzard Bolt, which when fused creates a Frostbite token. We'll use the other set cards. We have Chilling Ice Vein, which when fused, the attack and it deals damage. They discard a card unless they pay 1. So basically, if this card hits, it's a discard mechanic. And then you have Flake Out, which if fused, it gains Dominate. So instead of using Dominate on Shiver, you can give it +1 because it's already fused with Dominate, and then go from there. The reason I put the yellows in Blizzard Bolt and Flake Out is because I want that Dominate and that Frostbite mechanic as much as humanly possible. Those are the two biggest things we're trying to get on offense at all times. Like I said, on an okay turn, you're going to be or on a normal turn, you're going to be doing 1 Frostbite token. On a good turn, you're going to be doing 2 to 3 Frostbite tokens. I've gotten as much as 4 or 5. It just depends on, and just that's a few games I've played. So that's how that goes. It just depends. Sorry for the water. My throat gets so dry so quickly. So that's what we're doing. Flake Out and Blizzard Bolt and Chilling Ice Vein as far as the arrows that are in the set. We also have Bolt and Shot in here. It doesn't fuse with anything, but if its base attack is greater than its base, so if you can pump it, it gains Go Again, and if it hits, you reload, which is really useful mechanic. And then we're using Headshot from one of the old sets. If Headshot is putting your arsenal face up, it gains +2, so that's really good for Shiver. Shiver's naturally going to put the arrow face up into your arsenal, so it's already going to gain +2, and then you can give it Dominate. So you basically have a 1-cost arrow that's 6 with Dominate with Headshot, which is really useful. And then the final arrow we're going to do is Frostlock. This honestly could be sideboarded, but it's a really good card in general. If you fuse it, it gains +1, and if it hits until the end of the next turn, they can't pitch or play any cards with 0 in them. So you're playing a Ninja, you're playing a large go-wide deck with a lot of 0 cards. This is a really useful mechanic to kind of screw them over. If you give them 1 or 2 Frostbite and you hit them with this Frostlock, their turn's basically over. They have to pass it to you, so it's really nice. So as you can see, a lot of these attacks are going to gain, Dominate. They're going to have these fuse mechanics that are creating Frostbite tokens. You're putting a lot of pressure on your opposing player to basically not be able to play their turn. And then with the ice cards, which we have 25 of them in this deck, all of our ice cards do one of 2 things, or one of 3 things. Create Frostbite tokens, pump our arrows, or make the opponent discard. So you have the Frostbite tokens like Chill of the Bone, which creates 3. You have Icequake, which not only pumps your attacks. I have the whole playset of these in here. It not only pumps your attack at 3, it will pump it for 3. At yellow, it pumps it for 2, and blue, it pumps it for 1. But if that attack hits, it's going to create a Frostbite token, and that's basically almost a guarantee. Because let's say we shoot with something like Flake Out, which is fused with Dominate, right? So it's already at 4 with Dominate. Then we're going to give it +1 from Shiver, so it's going to be 5 of Dominate. And then if we put an Icequake on top of it, now it's getting, if it's a red Icequake, 8 with Dominate. So it's going to hit, which is going to create that Frostbite token. So now you maybe just got a Frostbite token from flipping an Ice card in your arsenal, and then you're getting a Frostbite token from Icequake when it hits. So you just hit somebody with 8 with Dominate, and then you created 2 Frostbite tokens on their turn. So you can see how this will add up really quickly. If you can somehow add a Chill to the Bone, maybe the Chill to the Bone was in your arsenal. You play that first. You play Flake Out, you fuse it, and then you play Icequake. Now look at it. Play Icequake, then Flake Out. Now you are looking at 3 to 4 Frostbite tokens with an 8 Dominate attack, and that's just amazing. So that's how that will work. Then finally, most of our ice cards do this. So Icequake will plus your attacks, plus create a Frostbite. Winner's Bite I like for discard effect and for pitch. It makes the opposing player either have to discard a card or pay a resource. At blue, you have to pay 1. At yellow, they have to pay 2. And at red, they have to pay 3. I'm not going to really do the red because they're just going to discard a card, and it's probably a card they don't want anyway. But when I do blue and yellow, it kind of gives them a decision where there's no right answer, and it's a little bit hard for them to decide on what they want to pitch. So I'll put that in at yellow as well. Polar Blast is really good. Target opposing hero may pay 1. If they don't, it gains Dominate. If they choose to pay 1, or if they choose not to pay, then you get Dominate, and you can use the +1 effect on Shiver. And if they do pay, then you just discard a card out of their hand, and you still get Dominate from Shiver. So it's like a lose-lose situation for the opponent. So Polar Blast is really good. Amulet of Ice, I like these because when you put them on the field and then you destroy them as an instant, target hero discards a card unless they pay 2. Activate this ability of only if you have Ice Fuse this turn. So because we have so many Ice cards, we're going to be fusing nearly every turn that we attack with. And when you fuse that turn, and you destroy Amulet of Ice, it makes the other hero discard a card or pay 2. So as you can see, a lot of these cards are either pump spells, discarding a card, or creating Frostbite tokens. So as you can see, like big picture, right? You're trying to attack 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like I said, I've attacked as many as 14 with Dominate because I've hit maybe a Seek and Destroy, which gives me +3. Then I hit a Take Aim, which gives me another +3, another +3. So now I'm at +6. And then I fuse my attack, which gives it Dominate. So it's already at, it's a 5 attack, getting +6 with Dominate. So you're at 11 with Dominate, right? A lot of these are just really useful to do that. Seek and Destroy is kind of the one, a little more expensive card. It's not a super expensive card, but it's the one you can get. It gives your next attack +3, and if that attack hits at the beginning of their next end phase, they have to discard all their cards in their hand and destroy their cards in their arsenal. So it's basically a white mechanic. So if you give someone 2 or 3 Frostbites and then you play a Seek and Destroy, they can't play any cards because they can't really it's harder for them to, and they can't really get rid of their cards. So they're just basically their whole hand's going to get wiped, and it just creates a lot of issues for them. Finally, 3 of a Kind, which I like a lot. You draw 3 cards, and then until the end of your turn, you play only cards from your arsenal, which for us, all of our attacks are out of our arsenal, so that's not a big deal. So, as you can see, we have 21 bow attacks, if I remember correctly. We have 25 ice cards. We have 24 bow attacks, I believe. 21 ice cards, or 25 ice cards, and then we have 10 pump spells, and then the 3 of a Kind. And on top of that, some of our ice cards, preferably like 9 to 12 of them, also pump our attacks. So you're going for these big, tall attacks, hitting for probably 5 to 10 a turn if you're doing well. You're also creating 1 to 2 Frostbite tokens, and you are giving them discard mechanics on a lot of their cards. So it's really throwing off their turn because A, they can't play, and B, you're making discard cards out of their hand or in defense, while also hitting them for around 10 damage a turn if you're doing really well. So it's going to put a lot of pressure. If the game slows down, it's fine. It doesn't matter. The game can slow down. That's not an issue because you can keep giving them Frostbite tokens and really putting it out. The only issue that this could have is if they have a lot of sustain, which I had a couple times where if they have a lot of Sigil of Solaces or a Tome of Fendal or something where they're gaining life, sometimes this might not have enough gas to last a super long game. But you kind of take that chance because you're hitting them for so much. And they're going to have a lot of sustain to kind of stop you. But anyway, if you like this, I hope you do. The deck list is below. Please tell me, like, what cards would you add? What cards would you take away? I didn't add a sideboard because I really haven't played this deck enough to really see what my true weaknesses are. And I will sideboard effectively as kind of the meta grows. But please tell me what you would add. Please tell me what you would take away. I would love to hear about it. If you like the channel, I'm going to start making a lot of these type of videos with TCG oriented stuff, Flesh and Blood, Magic, stuff like that, even Pokemon. So if you like this stuff, please subscribe, leave a comment, leave a like, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for tuning in and have a great day.